So, Ecosomatic Coaching, when I founded the Nature Coaching Academy, was not even in the air for me. I came from like 20 years of personal explorations of how to relate with nature, with body, because basically I have a master's degree in philosophy with an ethno-anthropological concentration. And then I also took a degree with 3 years training as a dance movement therapist. This is a title that I have never really used because then I was working mainly as a corporate trainer in organizations since the year 2000. But that training in dance movement therapy really allowed me to place the body at the center of any learning process and any relational process. And I've also been a dancer, a performer. So really for me, the body is, I call it an organ of sense because it is strongly related with sense making, because actually the body is how the humans make experiences. I mean, I don't know any human without a body, honestly. So that's how we live actually and learn and grow. So organ of sense because it's related to sense making, but also organ of sense because of course that's how we let the world, the outside world in through the senses and through our active engagement, physical engagement with things, even though and with people. Even though, unfortunately, for many humans now, including me, this is the main way of working. And I also do a lot of coaching online where I also synergize with nature and with body because the body is always available and that's a part of nature. For me, the chance to open up deeper spaces of exploration and dialogue for my clients and for myself daily is related to keeping the human inside of me alive. So I avoid thinking that all my life can revolve around a screen. Even though this technology is amazing because, for example, we are connecting with people from Nepal, like Vikash here. I read your names, and perhaps you are from Europe or the States. So this is a great technology. Our brains and our bodies can adapt to a lot of this new technology. There is a price we pay, and sometimes it feels like cognitive overload. Sometimes it feels like being all messed up in our brains and noticing rising levels of stress and overwhelm. And honestly, I don't have a single client who's not living this, unfortunately. So these fast-paced lives seem to erode our living and existential potential. Nature for me has always been how I remember myself, who I am, and what I really need to be Diana. In those places and in those time and spaces where I empty myself about anything that I would define I find a larger we, which is an ecological we, and I notice my sense of identity expanding. And that's when I feel a sense of wholeness and a deeper possibility of dialogue emerges from that, from belonging, from finding myself aware of the belonging into that relational fabric that binds all of us living beings inside the biosphere. So that's when the most insightful thoughts emerge. And I suddenly find the solution for that problem that I was struggling upon for hours or days. Those moments of deep nature connectedness, deep sense of belonging and interbelonging are the time and spaces where I finally see what is the best step for me on a certain topic or the best decision for me to make. So it's like reconnecting with my inner compass which I call organic knowing. And this is another word that I take from one of my mentors. She's Maya Kornakia, and she's been mentoring me in life, I would say, and also in contemplative practices and deep nature connection since I was 19. So I'm 51 now, so it's many, many years. And she calls this knowing that we don't know we know, but we have it because it belongs to our bodies and to everything that is alive. So it's an organic knowing because it's part of our system, the soma, we may say. So for me, that is my natural inner compass. And sometimes it's harder to connect with it in our fast-paced lives. So this is why reconnecting with body and nature through contemplative practices is how I reconnect with that lucid thinking and clarity that doesn't really come from the mind, but comes from an extended mind, we may say, that can speak through us if we just let the noise out of this very short, small room, which is the skull. Let's see some of the slides that I prepared with you so that I can organize all these contents in a kind of a more ordered or structured way. So let me share the screen with you. Just a sec. Okay, and in the handout that you will get all these slides. If you want to take notes, it's always good for learning and for just jotting down the key concept that you want to have for yourself during this session. Otherwise, just know that these slides are for you. I'm a PCC ICF coach, and part of my work, like 30–40% of my work is coaching individuals, and the rest of my work is with teams in team development journeys in the organizational and corporate environments since the year 2000. And since then, I have worked with over 30,000 people in over 3,000 experiences of learning, either with coaching or with experiential activities like music, nature connection, and creativity and playfulness. This allows me to really feel a lot of confidence in leading teams and also in facing any kind of team dynamic, and by also having covered for many years roles as an inside as a manager inside a company, all the while I was building my career outside of the corporate realm for almost 18 years, gradually eroding my days inside the company where I was hired after my master's degree. I took care, I was a manager and part of the leadership team of a company. And this is also how I grew as a leader in team dynamics. So this is also what I teach. I teach a lot around this. Part of my programs revolve around individual coaching, which is the Ecosomatic Coaching program. And the other two programs I lead, the nature coaching and forest coaching experiences, are instead focused on group coaching. And recently, in my practice, I really focused that offering my individual clients to join group coaching days or weekends is really empowering and just amazing for them, because what you can do in a group setting cannot absolutely happen in a one-to-one context. So the group really works like an igniter of a booster of learning. And the mirroring and the sense of community and belonging to a tribe of like-minded people that you can get from group experiences is really enriching. And I think that it's what we really need nowadays in a context where everything pushes us into our individual bubbles, and individualism is unfortunately one of the biggest traits of the capitalist culture that we find ourselves in. So everything is about the individual performance, and the detachment that is happening from between persons is honestly worrying. And so this is why I really feel like an ambassador of let's make let's make learning human again. Human means in the body, in flesh and bones. Let's meet other folks. Let's share. This is great for these short, snackable contents, but for real learning to happen, for me, in person and online, must be integrated to honor the Paleolithic or ancestral being that is inside of us. Just on a side note, our brains are 60, 65, and 65,000 years old. So if you think you are a very contemporary person with all these devices and nice things, just think that your brain has a leopard skin instead and something in the hand. So that's the most appropriate refiguration of yourself if it was to be coherent with how your brain is. So again, this just to say that, as one of my teachers at the university said, perhaps the gap between what we are designed to do and experience as we come alive, the gap between these and what we actually find when we birth, the air we breathe, the water we breathe, the social context we have around us, perhaps it's this gap that is causing us also a lot of stress. Now let's move on. So voila. Okay, so for me, it's important to say that the things that I'm sharing with you come from these 3 decades of experience, starting with the connection with my apple tree, who is my first nature coach trainer. And most of the things I learned and started to explore with other people come from my deep contemplative practices and deep nature connection practices in synergy with these 3. And as you can see, these apple trees were all planted together in the same moment. But this is the one that I have been connecting with since 3 decades ago. And it's definitely bigger. So who knows why, but there we go. Then more recently, part of my teachers in nature coaching have been the river. This river flows 15 minutes by bike from where I live now, and I'm near Bergamo, near Milan, in the northern part of Italy. And even more recently, Camonica Valley, and this place, which I found first in a deep meditation, then the real estate agent then proposed me this place, but I first saw it in a deep nature contemplative experience, which was quite honestly inexplicable to me. So these other places are now becoming part of my routines and part of how I learn how to properly connect with myself, others, and nature. And then I have many more teachers who have really influenced the things that I'm about to share with you. And from the handout, you will be able to, if you want, explore them. I'm not taking more time now to acknowledge the relevance they had for my journey and to become who I am today, and to say the things that I'll be sharing with you. And this is one of the teachers at the Nature Coaching Academy, and and the books of these poetess, Italian poetess, are the go-to resource for like the manual of the Nature Coaching Academy is actually 2 of her books. She's a Buddhist, and her books about silence and inviting not knowing in our lives are just perfectly meshed with my contents. Then Okay, so I will just share with you some of the photos from these are the photos of a professional photographer. She took them during my this is my tree during my nature connection practices. This was the year 2008. And these daily routine practice of staying with my apple tree for at least 30 minutes in all seasons, as you see, this was snowing, um, really made a difference in how I started relating with nature and with myself. Discovering many things that have to do with love, respect, internal balance, breathing, learning how to stay and listen, which are all essential qualities of that we can also use as coaches. So after some time experimenting this on my own, in 2009, this was the first circle. This is always my apple tree, always there. I decided to share something with a group and see if what I was exploring on myself since more or less 1 decade um, could work also for somebody else. So that was my first experiment, and it worked, and it worked so well that I didn't stop anymore. And so since then, I've taken hundreds, if not thousands, of people in these deep nature connection experiences for personal growth. And as I became a coach, then I started wondering how can I integrate this work that I'm doing with people in group settings to support their search for well-being, personal orientation, flourishing. How can I integrate coaching and all this? And so to answer basically this question, that's when the Nature Coaching Academy was founded. And this is, again, River Adda, and this is one of the places where we go for our in-person workshops. The result now of what I'm sharing about ecosomatic coaching has also got to do with all the learnings that I did in synergy with the 70 plus coaches that I graduated since in the past 6 years in 5 different cohorts. So then you will see in the handout, I was speaking at Converge about nature connection for coaching and the nature coaching. Then came my first TED talk in synergy with James Farrell from the UK, amazing colleague, environmental scientist and ICF coach as well. Then came last year my second TEDx in Italy on the nature of slowness, which has subtitles. So if you speak English but not Italian, you will find the link to watch it with subtitles from YouTube. And then more recently, articles in the Coaching Perspectives magazine on ecosomatic coaching, and also another article on the 8 natural archetypes, which is one of the tools which is the framework basically behind our courses. So just some photos of the people that revolve around the Nature Coaching Academy, some of the coaches, some of the trainers. And so here we are talking about Ecosomatics, which is also an ICF level 1 accredited coach training program for professional coaches to become a professional coach with specific expertise in ecosomatics. So now let's dive into what the hell is ecosomatics. And to explain this, I really want to call in another amazing person. She's Andrea Olson. She's coming to Europe also this fall. She's an American dancer, artist, writer, educator, professor emerita of dance in a university in Vermont, the United States, where she was teaching anatomy and ecology. So she was teaching the body through getting to know better about our planet, and she was teaching our planet through the body. So amazing, amazing concept. When I found her studies, which is really recent, like in I think 2019 or 18, I don't remember exactly. This book is a must go. Absolutely. It's an experiential journey in 24 days or 21, I don't remember exactly, where you really enter this deeper layer in your connectedness to nature through the body. And in this book, I discovered why I was doing what I was doing since a few decades. So I will share with you these definitions, which are really foundational now in my work. So she says, body refers to what it means to be human. The parts may sometimes be referred to individually as soma, soul, spirit, psyche, physical body, intuitive body, energy body, thinking body, mental body, or collectively as person, self, I. In our study, which is her study, which has now become also my study, the word body is an inclusive term referring to the whole being. So when we say body, we are talking about the human in all its aspects. Same definition about the Earth. Refers to all aspects of our planet. The parts may sometimes be referred to individually as atmosphere, ecosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, geosphere, mantle, crust, core, or collectively as Gaia, globe, planet. In our study, Earth is an inclusive term referring to the whole planet. And this is the best piece. The body is an aspect of the earth. So we are an aspect of the earth, just an aspect. And sometimes I recall this definition when I'm biking by the countryside, and I think about myself as just a biking piece of planet. And sometimes I recall this definition when I'm by my river, looking at the waters and just immersing myself in sensing the place and dissolving the apparent boundary that seem to divide me and separate me from the environment. And I feel just like a breathing piece of that place. So this helps me to find a very interesting place in my sensitivity where I feel a part of and not isolated. And this can be profoundly healing for our disconnected minds, where sometimes we feel lonely or stressed up, and feeling a co-belonging or an interbeing, like Thich Nhat Hanh, a famous Buddhist monk, may say. He talks about interbeing. Every time we say I, we should instead say we, because our identity is always the result of a comparticipation. So let's move to the last piece of this threefold definition, which is about place. Refers to a particular part of the earth that we know through the direct experience in the body. Relationship to place is a process of assimilation, without which there can be no understanding. It is through the interaction with specific landscapes and environments that our movement patterns, perceptual habits, and attitudes have been formed. As we reflect on the places that have shaped our lives, we recognize that body affects place, and place affects body in a constant process of exchange. In my TED talk, The Nature of Slowness, I offer this idea that we are the places we frequent the most. So you can do a rapid assessment of the places where you spend most of your time and see if you look like them and if you like to look like them so much, or if you'd rather look like another place. So this is an apricot tree, for example, which is nearby the apple tree that I showed you before. And I really like this photo because there is this kind of mirroring between this person and the tree. I really like this. So We design the place designs us all the time. And so this offers also an interesting perspective on who we are and who we want to become and which places do we need to frequent to really embody the qualities that we want to let emerge in ourselves. And one last thing about this co-belonging interbeing thing. We are a famous philosopher from the 20th century, Merleau-Ponty, Maurice Merleau-Ponty says, we are always already broken, he says. And it might be scary, but it's actually good. He means we are always open to the world to get inside of us. As soon as you look at the tree, that tree is becoming a part of your brain and of how you feel. As you listen to bird sounds, they are becoming a part of your field because they are creating a neurophysiological response. So that bird is already a part of you. And the air touching your skin is already the skin is porous, so it's not a rigid surface, it's porous. So the air is already penetrating inside your body, just like the innocuous bacteria that are in the soil when we touch the soil and do gardening, for example, or walk barefoot. This is a porous membrane that allows for a constant flow of things of substances from the outside in and from the inside out. So we are always open or broken, as Maurice Merleau-Ponty says. And this means that we are always in relationship. So this for me is like the philosophical foundation behind ecosomatics, which is all about the continuum between eco and soma. So it's a fake idea that we are individuals. We are always a we. And the eco-soma continuum for me is the concept that that has to do with this continuity between our being and the being of everything and everyone around us. So ecosomatic is a word that comes from two ancient Greek words. One is oikos in ancient Greek, which means house, home, and soma, which for ancient Greek meant the body. So let me go into the definition that we give of coaching. Many definitions of coaching. Every coach has their own definition. And so this is the one that I'm trying to identify, and it changes all the time. Mysteriously, it's a year that I don't retouch it, but it has gone multiple reviews because every year I learn something new. So, but so far so good. So I feel okay to share it. So for us, coaching is a relationship. So in this, you can see that it can be between a human and an ecological being, not necessarily a relationship between two humans, for example. A relationship that reconnects the person to their natural inner compass and to a radical trust in the intelligence of life, expanding the potential for action and evolution, both personal and collective, in the desired direction. In ecosomatic coaching, this relationship is rooted in expanding the sense of self, which I've been talking to you about for the last 20 minutes, I think. So sense of self in terms of identity, presence, belonging, integrity, and capacity for care, through deep and intentional reconnection with body and earth, awakening the felt sense of our interdependence and belonging with life's vibrant network. So, of course, we all think, we should at least all think that we are all interdependent and that we are influenced by nature and that we belong to nature. And in fact, we are nature. So we hopefully can embrace these with our thoughts, but feeling that in our bodies, in our deeper sensitivity, in our heart, is what makes all the difference. Because knowing things in our mind doesn't create change, as we know. Since it's 40 years we talk about climate change, what's changed? Nothing. I mean, a lot for the worse. So knowing doesn't change people or actions or behavior, but sensing, feeling, and shifting the inner place from which we operate, that makes all the difference. Let me see if I have a quote from Otto Scharmer. No, I don't, because I was actually quoting Otto Scharmer, the creator of Theory U, just a second ago. So Otto Scharmer, he teaches at the Sloan Business School at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And he says that leadership, let me stop the screen sharing. He says leadership is, in essence, is about shifting the inner place from which we operate, both individually and collectively. So shifting the inner place, creating a different state of perception, a different state of consciousness, a different state of being. Because when you are in that shifted state, then you see things from those much wanted, innovative perspectives, which is all about coaching from an ICF perspective. You see things differently. And many of the teachings that I share come from those states where suddenly, I don't know, a brilliant idea, brilliant for me, of course, emerged in my mind. And I said, gosh, how can I know this? I didn't know I knew this, but now I know. And who told me? I don't know. The place, who knows? It just happened. And it makes me feel awe and great gratitude for that place. And I could tell you exactly where some insights emerged because I still have those experiences so bound in my memory. And it's the places that you've seen. Those have been the most influential, but it's not just those ones. So I like to call those shifted states ecosomatic states of consciousness, because they come from a different state of connection with our bodies and with nature. So part of the experiences we do together in in-person workshop is just that. Learn how to shift ourselves into those states and how to support our clients or the people we work with, not just in coaching. I mean, most of the people I graduated over the past 5 years, so it's more than 70. Among all those, I think that the already coach, because I had some who were already coaching at the PCC and ACC level as well, and they took the whole training and they did every training that I mentioned before. They did it all, and it was out of 70, not more than 3 or 4. So all the rest were, let me think, teachers at school, experts in well-being, like holistic practitioners and that kind of activities, a geologist, a psychologist, therapists, or many kinds. So this work is really not just for coaches, even though I speak from a coaching perspective because that's what I do every day. But it's about also integrating a coaching approach in everything else we do. I had communication experts, leaders, and managers who just were integrating those tools for themselves to care better for themselves and grow as persons, and also as a coaching lens in their work. Architects, I've had 2 or 3 interior designers and architects that have then designed their unique offerings to integrate coaching with their work, basically. So, I mean, I think that my work can be declinated, and this is also part of the teachings. I love to support people to find a way to integrate the things they experiment and explore during the courses in their work, in their existing work, most of the times. Also because, the coaching field is becoming really, really crowded. So you really need to believe in coaching to make it your full-time work, to full-time job. And you really need to place yourself and invest if you are not already a coach to really make a living out of just coaching. Even me, I do individual coaching and team coaching because I love a lot to work with groups. But I also, that's for me the best integration, also to honor not just what I like to do, but also my background and experience. So I think it's really important if you're not just coming out of university of you're not in your 20s anymore. I really think that the integration between the various tools and approaches that we collect all the time in our existing background and expertise, honestly, I find this usually successful. So let's move on just a little bit so we can have like the last 10 minutes for question and answer. I would also like so much to share with you some experiences with my clients, but I don't think we are going to have the time this time. If you're interested, we may even do a second free webinar. I don't know if it shows, but I really like to talk about this work. It makes me so enthusiastic to share this. So I may even do a second webinar to talk about case studies and experiences I did with my clients. So I like to think of the coach in terms of an energy shifter, and the Ecosomatic Coaching Foundations that starts tomorrow. It's completely online, it's 20 hours, and it's exactly about learning how to shift our personal inner states so that then you can transfer what you have done first on yourself, like I did for decades. So I packaged the process in an effective way to get the balls rolling faster than in 2 decades, like I had to do, being alone on my own exploring. And so Ecosomatic coaching is all about reconnecting with our bodies, to reconnect with nature, because it's in the bodies that we refine and ease in that ecosomatic continuum. And how we do this is through contemplative practices. So contemplative practices are the enablers of embodied and deep nature connected states. And so these are some photos from the students of the coaches, which are now all colleagues, doing their coaching gyms during the in-person workshop. This is also part of the garden where the apple trees are. It's my family house. This is Camonica Valley. This again is the tree, and you still can see my tree here contributing to the session. So yeah, we can also integrate working with body and nature in online sessions as well. And a part of our training is also dedicated to, but you can even take inspiration from these photos and from my background. So nature can be indoors and outdoors. We have the sky, the sun, the trees that I can see from my window. So there is always available nature and usually available body, even when we coach by the phone or online. This was one of my clients. She allowed me to take a photo as we were coaching by the phone. And I was in my place and she was in her place. So we were coaching like this. So in the handout, you will find, we're not going to go through it now, but you will find like a description of how a typical ecosomatic coaching session works, integrating these things that I'm sharing. So usually, well, I can briefly mention, I still have 4 minutes to share with you something else about this process. So usually I start the session with a moment of centering, allowing the client to really arrive in the session and sink into their body. So it's a moment of, an embodied and body connected practice. It can take usually 7-8 minutes. It can be self-managed by the client with some experience with me. Sometimes they say, no, I know what to do. Usually it involves the body stretching a bit, just following natural movements to create some ease inside our bodies. And believe me, the investment is worth it's worth investing 8 minutes at the beginning of the session, because then the whole process speeds up, because the client reaches a state of clarity and centeredness that makes the coaching focus emerge much faster and with more straightforwardness. So then we talk about the topic for the session and the outcome that the client wants to take home from the session. So we unravel a bit that. And then usually I say, okay, now let's leave all this aside and let's figure out what would help you shift your inner place so that we can go back to the topic from a shifted state. And so this is usually a process of co-creation and partnership, so that we can get inspired by something indoors in the place where the client is, or I use photos and images, even digitally sharing videos, to just create this more embodied and nature connected state, and let some natural beings emerge from the relationship in the moment with their places or with the nature nearby, outside, or if the client is outdoors, where they are. And then usually the invitation is to let the body respond to what the person is sensing. And then we look at how the body is creating movement or posture or gestures to speak about the topic or a specific issue or problem or decision. So we really engage with the body's knowing. And then we look at how the body is responding with specific states like contractions, energy in terms of sensing the vibration or the temperature rising in specific areas. So working with the body and through the body is part of the training and of the process as well. And then we do the reverse engineering. So what was useful here, looking at nature, integrating nature perspectives in your thinking process, insights, new learning, what is the body telling you about these? And so we pack all these and transfer it to possible ideas for action and generating progress on the topic, on the session's agenda. So usually this is what happens, and that's it, I think. Yeah, one last thing I would like to mention is that, and it's something we've been sharing also at Henley Business School at the Coaching Outdoors Festival last week, that working this way, integrating nature and natural thinking and organic knowing in our process, gradually makes the people we work with more sensitive to nature, to its wisdom, inherent intelligence, inherent subjectivity in contributing. And when I work with clients, both online and also with actual nature, part of the process is also really noticing the place and sensing its will to contribute to the session. Usually it's really touching when you sense signs from the place, like an aliveness, a sudden aliveness, or sudden movements in the space from the trees or from animals that sometimes come, or insects. And all that is part of the dialogue. So it's always an extended dialogue, the coach, the coachee, and the place. And these, in the people I work with over time, becomes daily routines that they do to connect more with nature, and becomes a love of nature, which is honestly all that my work goes towards. So coaching is wonderful, working is wonderful, but really the end point for me is to make people fall in love again with nature. And I found this way to make that happen because it works, because companies seem to like that. I mean, they're totally uninterested about the loving nature thing, but they're interested in the outcomes of coaching. So I'm using that to then work also on another side because it's what my heart calls for. Every time I look out there, I notice so much beauty that always touches my heart. And I feel like I really want to do something to re-enchant our eyes because it's also proven and demonstrated that when we perceive nature not as things to take or resources to spoil, but we see the aliveness and the subjectivity, then we start loving more all the aspects of our planet. And then we start, this is evidence-based, um, wanting to behave more ethically and responsibly to support the living resources of our planet, the regeneration of the ecosystems. And so many incredible evidence-based studies demonstrate that the more nature connected you are, the more you are motivated to change your lifestyle and do something. And I call this biophilic activism, meaning that you start from engaging more with nature to awaken a sense of love, belonging, and connection, to wanting to protect what you love. Because at the end, we don't protect what we know needs protection, we protect what we love, who we love. So, this for me is one of the most beautiful side effects, positive side effects of this work, of this way of working. Um, and that's all. So we still have, that's all. I mean, I could go on talking for hours, as you may perhaps see. But let's use this 5 minutes. I can even stay more. So if you want to stay a bit longer, I can stay a bit more. How are all these things landing in your awareness, in your perception? Is it obscure or makes you doubtful or curious or excited? I don't know what's happening inside of you. How are you responding to these ideas? And if you want, you can either share in the chat or just open your mic and speak. Are you already exploring in this area? Are you already doing things? What would you like to share? What can you share?
Namaste, Diana.
Yes, Vikash, please.
I'm quite interested in ecosomatics nowadays with my activities in holistic healing in the Himalaya. And now I'm more concerned with how ecosomatic idea of living with big cats influence the human flourishing.
Of living with big?
A big cat like tiger,
Ah, okay. Aha. Wow. Well, your
tiger,
environment, I know you are in the Himalaya in Nepal. So,
yes.
okay, interesting. So, your concern is what happens if I take clients outdoors in a context where a big cat, lion, tiger, whatever, can show up?
Yes, I'm thinking from that perspective because new generation, because I write man and leopard conflict in Pokhara, Himalaya, staying in the boreal forest in Norway. I see the wolf debate in Scandinavia, and I'm still curious. Now I'm teaching here and also practicing how the mind is connected with the landscape and ecosomatics of how the children's modern day children's are connected to this species and more than humans because we lost our connection to the rivers, big birds and big cats in the Himalaya. So my thoughts are I'm more curious about ecosomatics, and in line with this I'm also working how the same situation coaching in the with the tiger spirit and snow leopard spirit, how it comes from the visitors and also the local perspective.
Well,
So I will
definitely.
share my ideas with you. I develop my queries regarding ecosomatics nowadays and how
Yeah.
we protect the mother earth.
Yes, thanks for sharing. Amazing piece of intercultural awareness. So yes, of course, when I think about coaching with nature, I think about my places where no big cat. I mean, I have a cat here, but it's big like this, so it's definitely not the same. Of course, part of the work is to assess the risk of a place, and I would never, ever, ever take a client in a place I don't know, in different seasons, in different times of the day.
Mhm.
Because I need to be a friend of a place before, just like I would do with a person. I mean, before introducing somebody to another friend, I have to know that friend so that we can all share a safe place and space of conversation. So risk assessment, safety are the foundations of this work. And of course, this is the first thing to look after, even before the coaching efficacy of the process, of course. So, and if you all want to know more about Bikash work in the Himalaya, perhaps Bikash, you can place a link to your amazing place, which I know because we are in touch since many, many years. So, if you want, you can place a link so that people, in case they want, can feel free to look into. Then let's see some other comments, and thank you, Bikash, for the moment. I feel excitement, and I similarly to you, my end goal being to get humans to care more for our precious earth. Thank you so much. I like that you have a clear structure to your sessions while still leaving a lot of freedom, of course, for the client. Yeah, partnering is like a mantra for any ICF coach. Excited, curious, wanting to learn more, and ideas popping of how this can be integrated into my work. Sounds very, very good. Yes. Anybody who wants to unmute and just in this last minute add a human touch like Vikash did?
Yes, yeah,
Please,
I'll
Corentin.
be happy to. First of all, thank you so much for your sharings. It resonates a lot with me. Um, I really appreciate that it's very descriptive when you speak about what you do, but it's really connected and it's really connecting as well. So I feel this was already shifting this hour spent together.
Wow.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And in my case, this is on my path, so I feel drawn. Um, so I spot you on different places on the internet, and then yeah, I'm very interested in doing, I mean, in experiencing some more. So I'll be in touch.
Thanks a lot. And I wanted to say this to everybody and also to you. In the handout, you will find links to some audio guides with my voice to start really exploring on yourself. Is this can be a thing to cultivate and foster? So you will find an audio for like about biophilic walking, which is a bit different from the classical meditative or contemplative walking because it engages our awareness also on the response of the ground underneath us, and on the response of our planet to how we walk and how we place our feet on the ground. So it's all about reciprocity. Reciprocity, I didn't mention it in this webinar, but it's one of the keywords. So it's not us humans doing wonderful things out there. It's always about re-becoming aware that we are always in comparticipation. And so, yes, I look at that tree, but that tree, as science says, is looking at me. because the trees can look without eyes, because the eyes are all over their body, because the nature of a tree is to absorb light. So they need to have a lot of receptors, and the ocelli, I don't know the name in English, like little eyes, are spread all over the body, and this is sound science. And so, yes, we feel this wonderful air on and breeze on our skin, but the air is sensing our skin as well, and is taking our molecules away towards other places. So there is always a reciprocity. And another thing that I would like to invite all of you who are here is not just perhaps see if my audio guides can work for you, but also choose a place that touches your heart, that you like, or makes you curious, or just makes you feel good when you are there, and make friends with it. Become friends. So another key concept in my practice is ecological friendship and ecological love, of course, but love in terms of, just loving everything that is alive around us. But ecological friendship is also an interesting concept. So how can you intentionally cultivate friendship with a place, with a specific tree, like I did for decades? Perhaps you also have one in the parking lot where you always park your car. So let's start looking at that tree with different eyes as a being, not just as a place where you can park your car and have shade. Your pet at home. And I am so sorry every time I see a person with their dog, walking their dog like this. So this is the dog and this is my attention. But why don't you look at your dog? So because it can be really a wonderful experience. So ecological friendship may also be a field of exploration and experimentation to start thinking in terms of relationship with everything and everyone around us. So thank you so much, Corenty and Bikash for speaking, and all the others for joining this webinar, commenting in the chat. It's been a pleasure to share with you. If you're you will get the recording in case you want to review it, the handout. There are many more slides that I didn't share, which you will get. The links to the audio practices and what else? More details about the programs. One is starting tomorrow, and then we have other programs and in-person workshops coming in October, and then the next year. So thank you so much again once more for joining me, and let's keep in touch. And if you're curious about knowing more about how I work with clients, just let me know. Send me a note. Oh, I would really like to listen to some stories, so that then perhaps I can set up a new webinar and talk more about experiences, either with groups and individuals, which I really like to share a lot as well. Thank you. Bye. Ciao from Italia. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.